Okay, you finally got my attention. I'd spoken those words a few weeks earlier while standing in front of the hospital, just after learning that I did, in fact, have cancer. I'd been looking up at the sky when I said them, speaking to some spiritual being or force I never consciously acknowledged believing in. During the weeks that had passed since that moment, a lot more than my hair had changed. I was now peeing out what looked like Pepto-Bismol. It was a thick, bright, pink liquid that seemed to come out of me by the pint all day, every day. The Pepto-Bismol, I soon learned, was in fact the skin cells from dead tumors. Thanks to chemotherapy, the cancer cells were pouring out of me at a rate that felt exhausting. Mostly because they needed to escape my body so often. Weak and depleted, I dragged my body as well as the IV line that was now attached to me 24/7 to the bathroom over and over again. The trip often felt like several journeys too many, but the cancer cells were leaving me. So whenever the urge to pee arose, I got up. In so many ways and on so many levels, I was purging. But it was more than that, really. It was transforming. And nowhere so fully as deep inside of myself on a spiritual level I hadn't previously dared to access. So there you have it. That is a quick story that I wrote in my book, Dying to be a Good Mother, on page 99. And the last sentence was interesting. And when I listened back to how I recorded it, I wasn't a fan and I wanted to read it again. I feel like I didn't do it justice. And I think that is kind of like today's conversation or topic. You can probably hear me playing with my book a little bit and turning the pages. But I want to read that last sentence again because I think this is really, really important for this podcast and the podcast rebrand, which is called Emotionally Uncomfortable, and the depth of the, I guess, transformation that we're creating here. And, you know, the emotional discomfort that I want people or encourage people or lead people to go to within themselves. We're always looking for quick fixes and solutions and outside of ourselves for happiness and ease and contentment and fulfillment. And although I do believe that, wealth and having more money allows you sleep better at night and feeling better in your body, working out, eating good food, travel, the sun, surrounding yourself with good people, really do make an impact in the quality of your life. I think the thing that we resist the most is looking within ourselves and first asking ourselves the really emotionally uncomfortable questions. So this line, I was transforming. Let me read it again. I was transforming, and nowhere so fully as deep inside myself on a spiritual level I hadn't previously dared to access. And when I wrote that, what I meant is I was transforming, and people on the outside assumed that I was dying. And I was. There was a huge part of me that was dying. My physical body was dying because I neglected it for so long. And the interesting part is, like, when you get deeper into my story, yes, cancer was there, and there's a whole culture around disease and people having this fear of dying and this fear of getting sick, and yet, living unsustainable lives and not listening to the signs and the symptoms. And so it was, I remember that moment. It's funny to go back. It's not really funny, but going back and reading my own writing almost a year after the book has been published, which is probably about a year and a half since I've written that actual story, or even 2 years, Like, I'm so far removed from that version of myself, and realizing that the tumors, the cancer cells, actually was an elimination of what my body no longer needed, and really trusting the wisdom of my body. I can even tell you other stories about my resistance to conventional medicine, and not wanting to go down the conventional route. But that's for another podcast. But this story in particular, I once surrendered because I was so sick that I had to trust the process. I had to trust something bigger than me. I had to trust my body, even though I was still scared. And every time you're going to hear me tell a story, or someone else is going to tell their story on the podcast, I really just want to paint a picture for you of how we go about our lives needing to trust, surrender, and still we can bring our fear with us. And too often I see people, and it can be in regards to our relationships, it can be regards into a career transition, money, whatever it is. There's an area of your life that is screaming for your attention. And what I mean by that is every day you do your thing, and there's a bucket of your life that is saying, not this, not this, not this. And there's a part of you that, for whatever reason, you don't listen to that. You don't listen to the voice. You don't listen to the not this, not this, not this. You just choose to push. And that's fine. Sometimes we need a little push. Sometimes we're like, I have a deadline. I got to get this thing done. But that scream gets louder and louder and louder and louder. And then your body or your life is like, she's not listening to me. Like, she's not listening. And it blows up in your face. The relationship blows up. Your health blows up. Your lack of mental stability, your addictions to TV, to numbing yourself out on social media, food, substances, people, like the toxicity in your life is killing you. And in that moment, I just remember surrendering and legit watching the tumor cells come out of my body. And the toilet was it was pink. Like, it looked like somebody, and I don't even know if Pepto-Bismol is like a North American thing, but in Canada, it's like for your belly, and it's a pink liquid. It's this thing that you drink for your belly, like upset stomach. And now I'm laughing because I have the jingle stuck in my head, because there's like a commercial for Pepto-Bismol that's like upset stomach, diarrhea. So that's essentially, oh God, what I'm thinking about. But it's this pink liquid, this pink, like thick liquid. And that's what the toilet looked like. And I remember looking at it, and instead of being afraid, I surrendered, and I was like, I trust you. I trust. Thank you. Because I knew that if I stayed in a state of fear of the unknown, fear of uncertainty, fear of like, what if, I would just become restrictive. I would become like white knuckling my life, and it would be so scary. And I had to just let go. And I could watch people coming in my life at that time and their fear. And I just remember feeling that energy and saying, not this. Like, you get to leave my room. So my question for you today, or my, I guess, awareness or challenge, thought challenge for you today is to ponder on your own life of which area of your life is screaming to get your attention. For me, that was my body at the time. Sometimes my body still screams, I've pushed it a little too hard, or it's like, please rest. Or, sometimes I'm resting and it's like, please move. Please get up. Please sit down. Our bodies, our lives, our relationships, when you're like, ooh, there's a disconnect in this relationship, they're always, the contrast is a language. So you get to choose, you get to listen. And if you don't know where to turn, you ask for help. And if you have a challenge asking for help, then that's the skill that you need to develop. But when we bring our ego to our problems, we completely block what we want to attract. So that's my podcast for you today. I would love to know what you think about the new format. As we gain momentum, I'm going to be telling more stories, both in my book, ones that I've written that have never been published. I'm going to be telling stories of other people, and we're going to see where the magic goes. If you want to connect with me, I would love, 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 love to connect. Send me a private message on Instagram at Heather Chauvin, CHAUVIN. You can text me at 313-710-5199. Let me know what stories you want me to tell. I'll go deep. I'll tell you anything. Almost anything. And what else did I want to say? Yeah. If you are ready to take the leap and to get out of your own way, to feel alive and aligned both at home and at work, then I encourage you to check out our programs, heatherchauvin.com/work with me. There it is. You just listened to the Emotionally Uncomfortable podcast. If you want to take this conversation to the next level, head on over to our private Facebook group community, heatherchauvin.com/Facebook. My last name is spelled CHAUVIN. That's heatherchauvin.com/Facebook. Or you can text the word Facebook to 313-710-5199. That's 313-710-5199. It's a U.S. phone number, and text message rates will apply. Also, if you are a huge fan of this show, please rate and review it on iTunes. Every review helps another woman like you take back control of how she wants to feel and become emotionally uncomfortable. I truly believe the better we feel, the more alive we become. This is how we are going to change the world. And if you've been watching me for a while, if you've been on the fence and you're curious, how can Heather help me? Head on over to heatherchauvin.com/work with me to check out my mastery and mastery business coaching programs. That's heatherchauvin.com/work with me.